Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Fact Sheet live on ETV, live on NISIM 95.9 and 100.1, also live on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Our handle is ETV Ghana. Tonight we are having a conversation about a matter which is brewing in the media space. It has to do with the passage of 3 new taxes, which has gotten the business community in our country talking. It has also gotten politicians talking, especially the NDC and NPP in Parliament, as to processes that led to the passage of these 3 bills. But our focus is not on the politicians. Our focus is on the businessmen. Because the businessmen have already started agitating about the passage of this bill into law. It's only awaiting the ascension of His Excellency the President, and that would be it. If the President assents to it, then it's law, and it would have to be enforced. So why are the businessmen complaining about the passage of this bill into a law? That's the focus of our conversation tonight on Fact Sheet. Fortunate, I have with me the President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, to throw more light as to what their concerns are when it comes to these 3 new taxes. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. And welcome back. My name is Samuel Ishen, and this is Fact Sheet on ETV, on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram, on radio, NISIM 95.9 and 100.1. Like I said earlier, I am in the office of Dr. Joseph Obeng. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I'm hoping you're doing well.
Very well.
It's interesting you say you're doing very well when all the language we're hearing in the media has to do with the dissatisfaction of businessmen as to the passage of these 3 bills. So indeed, are you well?
Yeah, you don't know the attitude of businessmen, especially the successful ones.
Okay.
Because always you have to have a positive mind, no matter, regardless the situation that you find yourself in. Because our business is management of risk. That's business. If you want to define it, it's a management of risk. And so we are always concerned with such issues. And so our spirit can never be down. And whatever the situation, we can manage our way through.
But on a normal day, are your spirits down, regardless of the optimism?
Yeah, that's being a human and faced with frustration, definitely it will be, but the attitude should be positive. And that's what I'm talking about. But we have a challenge at hand now.
Would you mind sharing with my viewers and my listeners what your concerns are when it comes to the passage of these 3 laws?
It's very unfortunate. It's going to compound our problems. And it's very unfortunate that Parliament did not listen to the pleas of the business community. This bill that saw most business associations coming out to plead that is suspended, and then government sits with this to come into consensus and prefer alternative solution and send it to IMF, and that was not to be done. And so the business community is not particularly happy about the complete disregard of our concerns, especially when Parliament do not represent itself. Parliament represents the people of Ghana. They represent the interests of the people of Ghana and do not represent their own interests. And they've shown that we are practicing democracy of imposition, which may not augur well for the country. The country's quest to be democratic nation. It is very bad.
It's interesting you describe Parliament as using the practice of imposition, but you had some members who were not in favor, vehemently opposed to the passage of this bill into a law, stating their case that it was not a matter of new taxes, but it was a matter of government cutting down its size and many more.
Yeah, because we say Parliament, because we recognize the fact that some did marvelously well to stand against it. But we say Parliament because now we are saying that Parliament have consented to the bill. regardless of the efforts of some people, especially the minority, not concerning to it. But once, even if it is one person different, we are saying that it's Parliament that has consented to it. So that's the reason why I'm referring to Parliament, and that they do not represent themselves. And this thing is very unfortunate because businesses are collapsing because of the excessive taxation that we have to confront with. Since 2021, because we are coming from the COVID situation, we have been sympathetic to government so that we will be able to solve the economic problems. So the taxes that have been given to us have been we did not resist it, and that we have been very positive and all that. But as it were now, the taxes are so overwhelming to the extent that we cannot contain it again. We are overburdened. You look at the COVID tax or COVID levy itself. It is unprecedented anyway in the world. That the pandemic that has come to destroy businesses will create another levy to charge the businesses that are suffering the fate of it. The Ebola tax, as we called, the special imported import levy, and that have been there since even the previous administration. It was supposed to be removed after the sunset. The sun never set, so it is there with this. The petroleum levies and other things. You can count so many of them. And the VAT that used to be 3% flat rate had to move to standard rate of cumulatively 22%. The benchmark reduction policy reversal also saw an increase of duty payment by 30%, and we have to pay all these things. Last year, the effects of the depreciation of the cedi, the exchange rate, caused a lot of capital loss to the business community, and yet we were even able to exceed our revenue target. The preceding years also, we were able to exceed our revenue target. In that case, the business community, we are not doing badly in terms of tax payment. So if we are able to get these revenues, why is it that we say that we are still insufficient in taxes? It means that probably the expenditure is too much for the revenue that we get. Have you thought about working on reducing our revenue level so that to reduce our expenditure level so that we'll be able to address our needs, especially the priority areas? And this is what we are talking. And then we are saying that government can also expand the tax net. Ghana Revenue Authority itself is saying that 13 million Ghanaians have the capacity to pay taxes, but only less than 6 million are captured into the tax net. And so how do we bring in these people to also come and pay tax? This is what we are talking about. The leakages in the system. The tax exemption policy itself is a fraud. It's not helping us. And that if we have the boldness to cancel it outright, unless it is for special needs that we give exemption, we are saving about 2 billion there. We are not holding the bull by the horn by doing that. The free zone abuses are the free zone, and the warehousing are all there for us to see. And so there are so many things. And then if we are able to adopt efficient tax collection system, we'll be able to get even more than the government requires to develop the country. Let's take VAT for instance. Let me tell you, it's a very big advantage for the nation, but the compliance level is virtually not there. We can say that only about 20% of the Ghanaian populace do require VAT or do even charge the VAT. And so, what are we doing to ensure compliance? That's why we are calling for effective tax systems, tax administration that will ensure compliance. If we are not able to do that, and then we keep piling these taxes on the individuals who are paying these taxes, then of course it will be a cut point where their backs will be broken. Already we are not competitive in the scheme of affairs of the continental free trade area, and then the cross-border trading activities in the sub-region. Why is it so? Because we are not trading in isolation. The business that we do it in competition with our neighboring countries, and now the cost of doing business is very high to the extent that we are lost in this competition. And then the purchasing power of the final consumer who will also buy from us is also curtailed. Now the purchasing power has reduced drastically, and that it affects our turnover. If our turnovers are affected, it means that we are unable to service our debts. That's the situation that we face. So whilst taxes are piling up on the left, the monetary policy rate is going up, influencing the increase in commercial lending rates to about 40%. How do businesses survive with all these things?
Now, the point about these taxes, some say that as businessmen, you were not loud enough with your vehemence to the imposition of this tax, and that if you were that loud in terms of even petitions being sent to Parliament where this bill was, maybe we wouldn't have gotten here.
We did all that, but don't forget that if the tax they want to impose something on you, they'll go every length. These petitions and all that have gone to Parliament. What did not go before Parliament on the yield levy? Was it not passed till it hit the room that they came to revise it? So that's why I'm saying that we are not practicing democracy of imposition, and that we have to listen to the concerns of the generality of Ghanaians.
See your numbers as Guta and your other colleagues, the importers and exporters and the rest of them. You have huge numbers that should have merited a conversation between yourselves, the finance ministry, and the finance committee of Parliament. Were you at any point in time engaged when it comes to this new bill?
No, we haven't engaged with government. Whoever said that there was some sort of engagement is not being truthful. And that has been the norm. And that's why we are even surprised. Because normally when such a thing is coming and then we protest or appeal, it is suspended so that we go and have stakeholder engagement for consensus building. And this particular one, it never was the case. And the taxes that is being introduced is obnoxious taxes.
Okay.
I mean, they are draconian, if I can add it to it. In that, let's take the growth and sustainability levy or tax. The communication industries, the insurance industries, the shipping lines, the banking industry, and what have you, are all going to charge 5% on their gross, which means that they are going to treat it as an expense and pass it on to the end user like us. And so there's no way they are going to absorb it, which means that we are going to pay multiplicity of taxes, and that's what we call. That's why we call it obnoxious tax. That if care is not taken, then we'll pile up different levels of cost on doing business again, where we are already overburdened. And then we also have our share. That these big institutions paying 5% on gross, we will also be paying 2.5 on our gross. Then when you look at the excise price and all that, it's even counterproductive to government's quest to industrialize the nation. We say that we have to add value to our raw materials, and then we have to be able to enhance our productivity to be self-sufficient. And this one goes against it. First and foremost, you go for credit of over 40%. Then you want to add value to your fruits. Maybe you have pineapple, you are staying at Gumunya or Sumenya, and then you want to do value addition on mangoes and all that, and then you are being slapped with 20% pesticide levy, the mineral water and all that. If we are concentrating on those that borders on our health, like cigarettes and alcoholic drinks and all that, then of course we have a case. Then we can increase it at any level.
Yeah.
But then you do not impede on growth. You see, one thing that even surprises me is that the present government, recognize the fact that over taxation, excessive taxation, impedes on the growth of businesses. That's the recognition of this is the reason why they removed the nuisance taxes in 2017 to give the businesses the respite. And now the nuisance taxes are creeping back in force in other forms. So what else can we do at this moment, especially when new layers of taxes is being handed over to us to impound the already serious problem, especially coming from last quarter of 2022, where businesses suffered capital losses as a result of the effects of the SME.
You earlier indicated the point that regardless of the impact of COVID-19, Russia-Ukraine war on the economy, you as businessmen were willing to throw your weight behind government so that government succeed. And so you kept cool. It's the same reason that government is given. That again, it's the impact of the COVID-19 that has gotten us to where we are, that we have had to resort to the IMF. And so if you've been patient enough in the past, why now?
We cannot overdwell in the COVID pandemic. Now there's no end in sight of the Ukraine and Russia war. The COVID has become a new norm. So there's no excuse for any government in any part of the world to overdwell in these issues. Now,
you think the government is making excuses out of this COVID-19 and Russia?
I say we are overdwelling on it. We are overemphasizing, and that we have to prefer tangible. We have to think outside the box and prefer tangible solutions to our problems. And that's the fact that we have supported in the past doesn't mean it should keep increasing, especially when we cannot bear it. We are overburdened, and they know. Everything suggests that we cannot pay additional taxes and all that, especially when only last week GPHA called us, all the business community, for a meeting, and they said that the traffic at our port have gone down drastically. We are not getting the volumes that we used to have, and what might be the cost. And then we said that what else do you expect? We are not competitive. We are being overpriced in terms of charges, and we are losing out. And we are not in this port business in isolation. We are in competition with Côte d'Ivoire on the left and then Togo on the right. So what do you expect? And this is what we are talking about. The business in Ghana. The Continental Free Trade have been implemented for about 3 years. You are a journalist, go out there, ask the manufacturers that how many containers have they even been able to ship as an advantage of this Continental Free Trade? Virtually nil. And because of what? Because other nations are not coming to buy from us because the cost of your produced items are very high. It's as simple as that. And so do we keep on piling the taxes on them to become unattractive, even for local consumption? It still become unattractive because so goods that will come from outside will be cheaper than what we produce in Ghana because of the factors that I've enumerated.
Is that to suggest now Ghanaian businessmen are looking outside routes to bring in their goods?
No, that has always been the case, but now we want to enhance our local productivity, isn't it?
Indeed.
And that's why we all want to even prune down on our imports and all that. That's the surest way to go. But you do not build the local production and overprice it with high taxes. That's what I'm talking about. And that's, you cannot even produce when your cost of borrowing is 40%. No rational businessman will go for such a cost of capital and start business. Because you are already down by 40%. There's no prudence in that. And then taxes are piled up on it. What are we doing? This is simple. Unless none of us have done business before and that we are pretending not to understand. How can you start a business with 40% credit?
But
You are already down with 40% and then taxes are piled up on you. How are you going to be competitive in any form? You are out.
do you get the sense managers of the economy understand your position as businessmen in the country, these scenarios you are creating? Do you think the Bank of Ghana, the finance ministry, they understand these things you're talking about?
They understand it even better than we do. That's what I'm telling you, that during the 2017, the government appreciated the fact that if we overtax, you don't forget that they said that we are leaving taxation into production. Why did they do that? They said it because they know that when you do overtaxation, it impedes on production. That's the common sense in that. When they say that we are moving away from taxation to production, it means that when you do more taxation, it will impede on the progress of production. It's like a commutative arithmetic. A plus B is equal to B plus C. And I mean, this I must say is not good and counterproductive. And then government also might be aware of this, unless maybe they don't want to accept that businesses are suffering.
Now, somebody would ask the question that, but why is Gutta crying? Why, I haven't heard from AGI, but why would AGI cry when, if they impose the taxes, you also offload it to the consumer? So wherein lies your concern? Because you'd offload it to the consumer.
I've told you, it's not only Gutta that is crying. All business associations that handle, you are a journalist, you know all of them petitioned. And so it's not only Gutta, but I'm also telling you that is it analogy or what does not hold? Because how long can you offload this cost to the final consumer? Now we are talking about inflation of over 52%. And I've told you, if you increase your prices, it curtails on your turnover. So it's not that simple that if it is simple that I pass on all these things and I have inelastic demand, but I don't have inelastic demand. Because the final consumer is overstretched. And then the final consumer cannot buy as many as you used to buy, therefore curtailing my turnover. When my turnover is curtailed, I'm able to service my loan and service my supplier's credit. And that's why we say that businesses collapse out of these policies. When we say that the indicators of business are broken down, the exchange rate, the inflation, and then the interest rate, all of them broken down, means that business is nothing. Business thrives on these indicators.
Look, I was asking about, in real terms, how on a normal day a businessman's life is like when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I've told you the turnover is curtailed. And so we are unable to sell. That's why people say we are not able to sell and all that. And then the last quarter of the year too, we lost a chunk of our resources. We are barely even recovered. and now these new taxes are coming to compound our problem. So you see, your interest rates have gone up. How are you going to be able to even recoup and then clear your balance? You have all these things to contend at any day that you go to your workplace. That's how are you going to do it? You're thinking about how to maximize your sales, but because the inflation is such that it's curtailing it's reducing the purchasing power of the consumer. So it's not as simple that you just roll your distance over to the final consumer. The final consumer is also limited, and the purchasing power is very down. It's not that they also have unlimited resources, and that they are restricted by these same indicators that we business face.
Is it worth it being a businessman?
It will always be worth being a businessman, especially when there's space for it, especially when we cannot all go and find ourselves white-collar job, especially when we are not professionals such as you, who is a journalist, especially that most of us do not have anything to do apart from business. So it's a job for the people. It's an area that we have to, whatever the condition, we have to survive through, because that's where our dependency is. And that's where even the energy of the nation itself also is precise. Because without any vibrant private sector, without any vibrant distributing sector, what is a country? Let me tell you, look at our various villages and all that. The only time a town or village come to life is where they have the market day, where businesses are traveling, where the in and out of people selling goods, people having gone there to buy and all that, and that people, countries recognize that, and then they liberate this sector to thrive. That's what Dubai is doing. They leave this area of distribution to be vibrant and to be attractive, and that it has served as a catalyst for growth for that country. Togo is doing similar thing and all that, but here we want to suppress that sector of our economy, and without that there's no economy. I'm telling you.
For a government that thrived on a campaign on the private sector being the engine of growth of any country, Ghana for that matter, how do you feel as to where we are now?
Yeah, first and foremost, I believe government still stand by its principles. And I can only say that maybe government is challenged with excessive, maybe the debts that we have it. But we ask ourselves, how did we come this far? So I believe government still stand by the fact that private sector is the engine of growth. But then they should know how to manage this private sector and do not assume that because they put up all these taxes on us and we are even able to exceed our revenue target, we can even do more. There's a breaking point. And this is why the business community are all talking about.
You've reached your limit. There's a bill that we don't know whether the president is going to assent to today or tomorrow, but if he does, it comes into force. What options are available to you?
Oh, we are very mature people, but we listen to the dictates of our members. So it's as simple. As I'm sitting here, I can't tell you this what businesses want to do. The agitation will not naturally come. Because sometimes when these things have not come, you will not see the real agitation. And so when the people are confronted with this, and then they want leadership to do something, we will not feel shy to do what they want. But if people are okay with it, we let it go.
But you are a leader. As much as you wait on the grassroots, for want of a better word, to direct the flow, What options are available to you, even if it's not in the mind of your base?
The business community, business trade associations, and all that, we are meeting on a meeting, and we are going to even brainstorm on what to do. We are making a press conference to show our disapproval of what Parliament have done.
Okay.
And so when we do that, it's also another process, isn't it?
Indeed.
To show our disapproval. So it stages,
Mm.
and we'll get whatever we want to go.
Now, you talked about associations and unions. How many are you? You said you're going to hold a press conference. How many are you to hold a press conference?
There are so many, especially those who were all against this bill. Ghana Chamber of Commerce, GUTA, Exporters and Importers, Food and Beverages Association, all the automobile dealers association, the Federation of Ghana, Labour, what have you? All of them.
All of them are coming together. Interestingly, I didn't hear AGI, who are most affected by this.
Yeah, AGI is also on the same page.
Mm.
Yeah, with this. AGI also protested.
Mm.
And they came out with their press release protesting against these issues. What they might do was that they will also do the apparel press conference on some sort. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have to come on board what we are doing tomorrow. But they are also definitely not satisfied with the event.
I remember coming for this conversation, one of my colleagues hinting that if we're not careful, we may have GUTA close down their shops. Is that one option?
We don't want to be issuing threats. Normally, we want to make sense, to talk the issues.
But you made sense for a while.
People to understand. Excuse me. Because now we are saying that even though Parliament did not listen to the plight of the Ghanaian people and they have imposed this on us, we still believe we can sit down with Parliament and iron things out and make sure that we prefer a more workable solution to IMF. And we believe that, and this is what we are doing, and we're doing it in a matured way and all that. Normally, I want to put threats on hold. It doesn't make you look as a matured citizen. And that's why, if we would do something, we don't shy of doing it, because then we have exhausted all avenues, and then a member say that let's do this to register.
It's intriguing your confidence that you can judge with this government. Who sent this bill there and got the parliamentary approval and heard your petitions and concerns in the media space? It's interesting you still have hope.
Government is for the people. Government is not for itself. And so if the people of Ghana are confident and mean that we do not want something, government should be able to listen to us. We are the people. Parliament doesn't represent itself. Government does not work in isolation unless it's working for the people of Ghana. And we are the people of Ghana. He said this thing is going to kill industries. Our local initiative, our vibrancy, trading and businesses and all that. This is what we are saying, and everybody have registered that. So unless government want to work in isolation and reject us, and that's why I've said that we are not practicing democracy of imposition, and that we should recognize that. We should recognize that and respect.
You remember
the
what
views of the people.
You remember what the finance minister said, that if by the end of this month we are not able to get the IMF due, the economy might crash. Are you not concerned that if this is not done and we don't get the IMF due, since we are being told that these taxes are part of the impositions by the IMF, if we don't get it through, we might have a crashed economy?
At the expense of collapse of businesses? Is that what we are saying? Is that what government itself is saying? At the collapse of when businesses are succeeded in collapsing, what is the IMF deal come to do? Nothing. Have you not gone to IMF before? You said that this is the 19th one. Is it the magic one? That you want to sacrifice your business community on that altar, that you leading us to the slaughterhouse. Is that what we are saying? Is it the panacea? Is it what have solved the previous problems? Let's face the facts. We have to give prudent solutions. Even IMF itself does not want to see the collapse of businesses, and that's why we are saying that we have to be able to prefer an alternative, suitable or an alternative solution, workable solution to the IMF, and it could have been done if small patience have been given to this, and then we sit down, judge all with ourselves.
The government hasn't got that time. It's got a deadline to meet. So now it's a case of the chicken and the hen. Which one comes first?
With business communities have been going on. How long does it take? You use a whole week and you would have done, as I said, sitting down with them. No, it's because we didn't want to do it. We had all the time. You told me this bill came on the previous budget. So we had all the time from that time to date. I hope you understand. So it's not that we didn't have the time. It's not that we came with this yesterday and they say we have to impose on you because it has been on the table. And that we have called the private sector to table and discuss because they are going to pay. You understand? Because taxes, let me tell you, taxes when they are affordable, it's compliant. If the taxes are not affordable, you don't get what you get. Even though you have succeeded in killing businesses, it will still be difficult for you to get what you get. Now, they say the ports are empty. What does it tell you? Are you going to get much as you are supposed to get when the ports were full, as compared to now that is half empty? No, let's be real with ourselves and let's be proactive. And whatever decision that we take, we should know that we are not doing for ourselves, but we are doing for the economy itself. But for the economy to survive, the business community have to be vibrant. The business community should have a room, they should have the respite to operate and get profits so the government can also tax it. That's what it is. And then we can also generate employment and all that. It's the engine of growth, as we say. So how do you destroy the engine that ensures growth?
We are ending the conversation and I want to focus on three things. If the finance minister is watching us, prefer three solutions that you think are the alternative, the best alternatives for him to apply.
We have to ensure efficiency in our tax collection system. It's as simple as that. Because the taxes that we pay is already very good enough. Our compliance is virtually nil. That has been the bane of this country. So we have to make sure that we adopt efficient ways of collecting these revenues and bringing everybody on board, spreading the tax net. Be innovative, because mostly people even say that if you look at the artisans who fix our cars for us, who fix our houses, the masons, the carpenters and all that, these are chunk of people and they barely pay tax. Have you not heard that one before? Yes, this is what we are talking about. You think outside the box, find a way to bring all these people in. Already we said that we have a shop for about 7 million people not paying. And we think that we can not have any innovative way for them to come in. Then we are also saying that we have to seal the leakages. There's a whole leakages there. For instance, we can just cancel the tax exemption policy. It's not helping anybody's interest. People are just abusing it. So that the tax exemption will be there only when somebody applies, and it's very essential for us to give. There we save about 2 billion.
I thought the finance minister in one of the budgets informed us that for the tax exemption system, it had to go through him to approve. So
So what are they waiting for? Didn't you hear that some people gave exemption for rice importation? Were you not in this country? So is this all that the tax exemption is? So it should be cancelled. And then we just give when it is needed, maybe when it comes to health issue and all that. But as it were, the purpose and intention that the tax exemption is being given is being abused and is not bringing any results. Let somebody come and tell us that these are the results that we've gotten from the tax exemption scheme. No. It's only a conduit for waste. And so we do that. Plug the other loopholes, the free zones, the warehousing system, and then we make sure that we prune down on expenditure. Because I've already told you, we are able to get the revenue all right. We exceed our revenue targets. They set for us, and we exceed it.
Yeah.
So does that mean we are not doing fairly? So if you exceed your target and you say that I'm still so much in need, it means that you are overspending your revenue. And we have to look at those things. And this is what we are talking about. And I believe when you sit down, so many things will also crop up. The interest rate is just over too much.
Were you surprised when the monetary policy rate was rather hiked just recently? I think that was last week.
We have always been using the wrong methodology, so I wasn't surprised because the same method have been used in the past since 2021. That we raised the monetary policy rate to mop up excess liquidity to stop inflation. Whenever they do that, barely 3 months, it has gone up again. It means that we are using the wrong methodology. And because maybe we have not properly diagnosed what is causing this inflation that we are suffering. The inflation that we are suffering now is as a result of cost accumulation.
Doc, well, thank you for giving us the opportunity to hear your thoughts on these taxes. We are hoping that your press conference will relay a lot more information and I will take it from there. But we are grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Thank you too.
Okay.
And so, folks, this has been tonight's edition of Fact Sheet live on ETV, on Nissim 95.9, and then on Facebook as well. We thank you for being a part of the conversation.